Hey, everybody. This is Coming Up Roses. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Kelly, and today is Thursday, August 11th, 2022. Welcome to episode 71.
It's an odd time for an episode to come out, but we didn't put out one last week because we were gone all weekend long. It was kind of an exhausting weekend. And I happened to be able to take today and I got tomorrow off. But just trying to enjoy time with my wife before she starts school back up.
And we celebrated by going to school.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you bought a new chair, a nice chair. But the thing that made the real difference is you got some aftermarket casters for the wheels, and they look nice. They look sharp.
And they're quieter.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping they don't leave like scuff marks all over the floor.
Yeah. Well, they look like the blades from wheels from a rollerblade. So instead of like the normal casters you see on an office chair, it's that. So,
yeah. Our floors at school are like 12-inch square tile. And the plastic casters on most office chairs just suck.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So more and more of these third market casters are coming up. So if you buy an office chair, that's something you may want to look at getting at the same time.
If you hear thunder in the background, it's because it is pouring rain right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's been raining a lot lately. So, which is, I guess, all right, because it's been like stupid hot here in Virginia, in the Virginia Beach area. It's been like hundreds and plus with the
heat index. Yeah, it's been crazy.
So, yeah,
everyone's complaining about the heat. It's been hot everywhere.
The thing I worry about though is that's my laptop or iPad saying it's raining. Thanks, iPad.
Thanks, iPad.
Yeah. The thing I worry about though with all this rain is that September's coming. That's hurricane season. We get a hurricane roll through with all this rain. The water table is going to be up really high, which means probably going to see some flooding if we have a hurricane.
That's not.
I mean, our house is up pretty high, and we don't generally have to worry about it. But it's sad to see that the neighbors all fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, last weekend we did not record because we were in North Carolina for Aunt Theresa's funeral.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call it a funeral. It was a
celebration of life.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a celebration.
And I was the MC, so.
I wouldn't exactly say MC. That makes it sound like a fun event. But yeah, you did kind of
move things along.
Things along there. I mean, you did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compared to my mom's,
it's just different.
Different. Yeah, it was different.
It was different. It was hot.
It was hot.
And it was outside. So I felt so bad for everybody who was like setting up and carrying food out, and oh my gosh, it was just.
But I mean, it was nice. They set it up nice. They had pictures that were all over the place of my aunt, and people had their flowers that they brought in. My sister-in-law Jen, Billy's wife, did some nice arrangements. Darlene and Tommy bought a nice arrangement. And then the food was really good. Jeff, Terry's husband, or Aunt Teresa's son-in-law, smoked some Boston butt and made some pulled pork barbecue out of it, and it was unbelievable. It was great.
Really good.
Yeah, it was really good. They had some fried chicken that, believe it or not, was really good, but it came from Hardee's. And so I haven't had Hardee's fried chicken in a couple decades, and it's actually really good. So
it's raining.
Yeah.
Oh no. CDC ends recommendations for social distancing and quarantine.
Yay!
Thanks, CDC.
But you still
we love your advice, the CDC.
Yeah. I wonder though, should we still not touch anybody's butthole? That was on their website. Look it up.
That's a monkeypox thing.
Yeah, monkeypox. You don't want the pox. Don't touch the bot.
What?
I tried to make bot.
Yeah, that didn't work. That was a failure. So we left early. It was just the heat just really like zapped us, I think.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got back home on Sunday, it was just we were
that, and then we were starting to get eaten a little bit by
I
mosquitoes a
had
little bit.
mosquitoes love me, and the thing is, I'll feel them at the time, and then I won't feel it for a few days, and then all of a sudden I get like crazy.
Yeah,
The
itchy.
mosquito bites don't really set in for me for a day or two.
Yeah.
But when they set in, it's like, oh my God, I can barely stand it.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was happening too. But so anyway, that's the reason why we were
Yeah.
not around last
It was
week.
an interesting trip down there too, because we drove through Suffolk, and that always gets me a little bit because it's my hometown. But honestly, I didn't feel connected to the town. It was like I was driving through, and I know I should feel this connection to the town. I really don't feel
If
it
I could
anymore.
count the number of times he nearly drives off the road because he's like looking at everything and when did they put that
Well,
up? And oh, that building burned down. And oh, they tore down this,
well, the
that,
part of
or
58, the
whatever.
stretch of 58 where I lived, which was my entire life, they've it's all changed, and they're I guess they're expanding 58, widening it. But even where my old house was, I was looking down there, and like our neighbor's house belonged to an old lady, Miss Johnson, who or Johnette, Miss Johnette, and her house was gone, and the house behind it was gone. And I thought they were just making the road really wide there because there's the bus garage and the city garage and then the school down there. But no, they threw up a Royal Farms. And I was like, oh my God.
That's what I lived with the whole way. Complete shock and awe.
Yeah, it was right
Like
there.
Kevin tends to overreact to things. Like his reactions to things sometimes don't always match up to.
Sometimes for a comedic effect, sometimes just because, oh my God.
Yeah. And there were a few times I had to like take his arm and nudge him back on the road because he was like busy looking off onto one side.
Yeah.
And it happens every time we drive through Suffolk.
Yeah.
I could probably drive through there without you and tell all of the stories because I hear them every single time we
That's
go through
true.
the same story.
That's true.
Yeah. So we don't
Next
ever
time.
drive down my neck of the woods.
Yeah, we
And
do.
we do, but do you see me going up? There's that.
Whenever we're at Point O Woods, yeah.
I don't.
Uh-huh.
One time I said, oh, they're closing off this whole entrance to the
Oh my
neighborhood.
God. Oh my God. Anytime we're anywhere close to Cox High School, you don't get it. I'll admit I'm worse at it. I do a lot more. But anytime
I
we're over at
might
Cox High School,
glance. I generally don't because I'm like, oh, I say it every time. I don't want to say it every time we pass. Oh, that's my, whatever. I might glance over there and look to see if it looks different or whatever, but I generally don't talk about it. I certainly don't go, holy shit, they built the Royal Farms and almost drive off the road.
well, I mean, it wasn't open yet. We stopped. There was like, oh my God, there's a Royal
They
Farm.
faked us
First of
out.
all, Royal Farms, if you get a chance, they've got the best fast food chicken you're going to get. The best fast food fried chicken. It's unbelievably good. You would think, oh, it's a gas station. They can't have good food. They've got the best fried chicken you're going to find.
We weren't stopping for fried chicken. We were stopping to get gas or to get a drink or something.
Yeah, get something.
They faked us out because all the people who were working on building it were parked at the gas pumps. So it looked like there were people there, but there weren't. Once we were like, wait.
Right. This is obviously not open.
They're not quite done building it yet.
Yeah. So we took off. But yeah, it was a good trip. Got to see a lot of folks. A lot of folks that I had just seen on our little vacation down in Hatteras. But it was cool. So yeah, it was that.
Yep.
Yeah. And then today, like I said, we put your chair together and went into the
I
school.
had boxes of stuff in the hallway that were starting to.
We didn't put that box in the hallway.
That's cool. I'll do it when I go back next time. I wasn't sure if they wanted us to just leave trash in the hallway.
Yeah.
But
tell them about the cool thing that happened when we were leaving.
I had these boxes of things I just wanted to take and get the chair put together. And I had this visual image of what my room looked like when I left. And it looked nothing like that when I got there today. Because since I've been teaching kindergarten, my kids have always sat at square tables, like 4 kids at a table. So they don't have like a desk area to put anything in. And then last year and the year before, I started bringing in some more desks just because of social distancing, and we had to set them further apart. And then I was like, God, it's kind of nice that they have their own little cubby. They can put their Chromebook and their headphones, and we don't have to keep putting them away and getting them out and putting them away and getting them out. So this year I'm switching to all student desks, individual desks. So they were all in there, plus the tables, plus another big table for my friend Robin, my assistant, to teach at.
Mhm.
And none of the furniture was in the section of the room where I left it. So I know they did the floors and they probably moved everything all around. And I'm not complaining. It was just a lot more furniture than I was expecting. And so I became overwhelmed really quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're literally like, I moved one cabinet and then I was like, yeah, I'm not staying any longer. We're out of here.
Yeah. Wow.
But we'll go back next week and actually move furniture. When I'm not wearing flip-flops, move furniture around and at least get things into place. And then I can start making it look pretty.
Yeah.
But a lot. So, and then as we were leaving,
This is very cool.
we were walking out and we were just about into the parking lot, like on the sidewalk, and the custodian at our school like opened this. She's like, Miss Rose, I was trying to get your attention. So like she came over and we talked for a couple minutes about the room and whatever. And she's like, you look like you've lost weight. Like, what do you do when you look good? And I was like, that's the first time someone who doesn't know that I'm, on this program or whatever mentioned that they noticed I had lost weight.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, thanks. I've lost 40 pounds since April and, working there. So she was like, oh, I need to hear all about what you're doing and whatever. So yeah, I kind of like, that was pretty cool.
It was really cool.
Because, Kevin will say it. And the other day I walked in the living room and Dad was like, yeah, I can really see where you're losing weight, but you expect your family to kind of.
And I'm guilty of it too, because when I've lost weight in the past, I can't see it. And then like I'll go into the office or something for something and it's like, oh wow.
I don't really see it in myself. I feel it a little bit in my clothes.
Yeah.
I do feel like.
I think you're getting around a lot better too already. Like you're walking a lot more.
Yeah.
Like there would have been a time where you would have done a lot to avoid.
Oh, I tried it in my head. Oh, it was happening in my head.
Yeah. Right? But you said, no, you know what? Well, I'll go through the parking lot and walk a little bit.
I was like, oh, you can just drop me. I'll just get Kevin to drop me at the door closer to my classroom and, or you can like park down there. So when we leave, it's a short, like those were all in my head. But then I was like, no, that's crazy. We'll just walk. We'll take the long way.
And you were fine.
I wasn't fine. I mean, my legs were hurting when we got out there.
Yeah, but you weren't.
Yeah. I wasn't huffing and puffing and whatever, but it's not even my knees that hurt. It's like
the calves.
My calves and my thigh muscles.
Yeah.
Just start to burn after a while.
Yeah.
And when I say a while, I mean after a really short distance. And then just to stand, I can't. If I'm moving, it's a little better, but just standing is bad.
It's probably a couple 100 yards.
I have no idea. All I know is normally when I'm walking it, I'm like just thinking to myself about how miserable I feel. And that didn't really happen today until I was almost to the classroom. So that was good. Mm-hmm. But I'm in my soul, deep down, I'm a lazy person. I'm always going to look for the shortcut. So those ways to get out of doing things just naturally happen in my head.
Still.
But
it's cool that somebody noticed you.
It did. I mean, it gave me the little pep I needed to, not focus on. I tend not to want to focus on the good stuff. I don't know why. It's just me. Again, just me. So yeah, that was kind of nice. That was kind of nice. I ought to actually pull my jeans out and see. I might need to buy.
Yeah, you might need
new jeans.
Yeah. I never say no to new clothes for her. So.
He never says no to anything I want to buy. Hence the reason I had boxes of stuff in the. Although to be fair, most of the stuff I took in today, aside from the chair, was stuff other people were kind enough to.
Thanks to everybody who chipped in on the.
Helped me clear the list.
Yes.
That's a new movement with teachers now. They're like creating Amazon wish lists. and sharing them via social media. And like sometimes, like especially on Twitter, like major companies go in and like
Just buy it
will
all
like
up.
buy everything off the list and stuff like that. So I had some pretty awesome people.
So if you're not going to give us money on the at K Rose VA,
Stop.
then look up
No.
your teacher, your
Yeah,
kids'
not
teachers
even me,
wish
but
list.
yeah.
Yeah. So look up your kids' teachers wish list and
See
go
if they
ahead
have a wish list.
and help clear it out.
Yeah.
Or if you don't have kids, just pick a random school and then see if they're do a Google search for a wish list from that school.
Just go to Twitter and do a search for hashtag clear list.
Yeah.
You'll find if you're in the donating mind, you'll find them.
Yeah.
As far as for your own kids, like when you get their school supply list, that was my very favorite shopping experience of the year.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, buying my school supplies. Like
I remember that. It'd be a big deal.
Man, like to go
because it was like going out specifically for you.
Yeah, and like schools like office supplies. I just always had a thing about
Yeah,
I didn't care about the clothes, whatever. I hated all of that. But like let me go and look for pretty folders and pencils, and that was my jam right there.
Yeah.
So, and I know it's expensive and the prices are exorbitant right now. If you have young kids that are kindergarten, first, second grade, and they ask for crayons, please just
for the love of God,
spend the extra couple of dollars, if it's even extra couple of dollars, on Crayola. The knockoff brand crayons really are not good. They're really not good.
Suck. Just don't do it. I remember you showed one time where they were seeing, what floats, what doesn't. And that was a big thing that the what was it, the Crayola?
Yeah, we did a sink and float experiment, and some of the all the kids decided to check their crayons. And when we were talking about the results of the experiment, some of the kids had marked that their crayons floated, and some were like, no, ours sank. And I was like, well, that can't. It's either going to float or sink. And so I was like, that's really odd. Bring your crayons up here. Let's drop them in. We're going to test it. And we found out that the Rose Art brand crayons, which are usually the big knockoff brand that we get, they floated and the Crayola sank. And I was like, that's what makes Crayola better, because it's a more dense, more pigmented colored wax.
Yeah.
And
meanwhile, Rose Art's got so much buoyancy. That's air. That's really what it is. Buoyancy is air.
Yeah.
So there's enough air in it that it just floats.
Yeah. And the colors just aren't the same. It's just not the same. And Crayola is not that expensive. You can get the 24 packs. If you go to Walmart, they have them on sale for 50 cents or something.
I'm not one to usually say go out and buy a name brand of anything. I'm not a snob about it, except for a couple things. Crayola is one. The other is NyQuil. That knockoff NyQuil is bullshit. If you're going to get NyQuil, get goddamn NyQuil.
And pencils. Now, this one is more expensive, and I can see why people don't do it. But Ticonderoga pencils are head and shoulders above regular other pencils.
Yeah.
And the dollar store pencils like that have the cute designs on them, please don't buy those, because they just eat our pencil sharpeners up. I'm just saying, it's just a tip I've learned over my 24 years of teaching. The glue sticks don't matter. The markers don't matter. The folders don't matter.
Yeah, you don't have to get Elmer's or
but
what's the other glue?
Oh, any kind of other. Rose Art has glue. It's fine. Crayons and the pencils are the things right there. So anyway,
let us know in the comment, what name brand do you have to get? Like the cheapo brands just don't do it,
Mayonnaise.
Oh, that's a thing of contingency in the house here, because they're all Hellman's people. I grew up on Dukes. I like Dukes, and if I get the opportunity, I'll get some Dukes packets.
Why don't you buy a small jar of Dukes mayonnaise if you have?
Why buy something just for me? I'm
going to tell you what. If I lived in a house full of people who liked Dukes, I would be buying myself a little jar of Hellman's mayonnaise. So I'm just saying, if you feel like you need to do that, do it.
All right. Well, next time I'm in the store.
Now, I like Dukes is what Chick-fil-A uses. I like Duke's mayonnaise on the Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
Yeah.
Like I won't
Or
come home.
no, not Chick-fil-A. Bojangles.
Oh, okay. What does Chick-fil-A use?
They have their own
Probably their
brand.
own brand.
Yeah.
Um, I've never used the Bojangles mayonnaise, so I
Yeah.
don't know. Anyway, I used to be the type of person that would never buy.
Name brand.
I would never buy like store brand,
Yeah.
but I've gotten better at that because the store brand stuff's
Well,
most of the time just as good.
yeah. Yeah. Most of the time,
Most of the time.
you squeak by on getting some, whatever. The Walmart stuff's pretty good.
Agreed.
The
Now it's
Teeter's
starting to
stuff is
lightning
pretty good.
outside. There it is.
There it is. We had a lightning bolt hit not too far from the house. It was loud, and our little dog did not like that shit
Tilly
at
got
all.
scared. I had a couple things I wanted to ask you.
Okay, here we go.
Let's see. Hopefully we won't lose our internet service like we did yesterday.
Yeah.
What would you think your biggest fault is?
Ooh. I am bullheaded. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, there are times where I'll stick to my guns and to the point of ridiculousness.
Yes, I know.
So I guess there's that.
I just saw this thing on Facebook that was like, touch the ice cream cone and find out what your biggest fault is. And then it gives you some random crap that couldn't,
Yeah.
So it just got me to thinking, like, what do you think your
What is your biggest fault?
biggest fault? Probably my laziness. Is that a fault?
It can be.
That's a flaw.
You know what my biggest fault is? My lack of ambition. Like there are people out there who have a good job and they're still hunting for that better opportunity. And I just don't hunt opportunities.
Is that a fault though? Because those people are never going to be happy.
Well, there is that. There are people that are just
And
never
then
going to be
being
satisfied.
content in life, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I guess it's, do you feel complacent versus content?
And there's a distinction there, but it's kind of a hard one to find. I don't hate my job, but it's not something I'm excited for. So does that make me complacent or comfortable? So it's a I look at the other opportunities I have available to me. None of them are singing to me, particularly if I have to either A, work overnight, or B, it's a lateral move, which means I get no more money because I'm at the top of my
Well,
scale.
you get to be at a certain stage of your life, and especially when you've been with a company for a long time, that's a major concern because even for me, like if I were to ever consider switching schools, which I don't think I will ever do, like the school I'm working at just feels like home to me. I don't really feel the need to be closer to my house or like just to switch things up. I don't like to change things. But you're basically putting yourself back at the bottom. And why would you do that so far into your career?
Yeah.
Like, why would you risk having to work overnight shifts and all of that if you didn't have to?
Yeah.
So you get to this point in your life where you're like, yeah, that would be cool. But the major changes it would cause don't outweigh the benefits you might get, when you're really young and you're just starting out and you've only been somewhere a year or two, it's easy to make the moves. And it seems like the younger generation of people don't stay in one job very long anyway. They seem to
go all over.
They don't mind just picking up and leaving.
I think we're
and
the
finding
last
something
generation
different.
of people that would stay at a job more than 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it sounds crazy to some people.
Yeah.
Like I've been working in the same building for 22 years.
Yeah.
No, technically they rebuilt it, so it's not the same actual building, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think another fault for me is I don't stand up for myself. Like I'm not that I don't stand up, I'm learning how to do that. That's definitely a skill I have tried to pick up. But I don't say how I truly feel about things for the sake of
avoiding
a
confrontation.
conflict.
Yeah.
And then I just let certain things eat at me and eat at me and eat at me until I can't stand it anymore. And then I usually blow up in a fantastic way.
Yeah.
You know, rather than just like clearing the air or putting something out there. And I generally tend to look for the things that irritate me about a situation rather than like things I can really appreciate. I guess that's probably a fault, wouldn't you say?
I'd say so, yeah. A lot, and this is something I learned a while back. I want to say while I was at Canon. When you are looking at a situation, it's easy to find what's wrong. It's much more difficult to come up with solutions. And I had a boss at the time that was like, if you find a problem, also come to me with a solution. Now, it may not be the solution we go with, but you have a problem. This is what you think the solution is. We may go with that or not, but always bring a solution to your problem.
Yes. And the only thing I can say to that is you have to be aware that your solution may fix your problem, but your boss is looking at the company or whatever
Yeah,
as
they
a
have to worry
whole,
about things like budget and
or
whatnot,
just how
legalities and
making
things.
a shift in your area might also shift things in other areas, that there's reasons why things are the way they are.
Right.
So yeah, you also have to know if you go, this just happened to me, by the way. Like I got an email saying, look this over, see if everything looks okay. And I had a couple concerns. I emailed back and I was like, I'm a little concerned about this or that. And it was basically, well, you'll have to adjust the how that you do this and that, because the reason it's like this is
Suck
because
it
of
up,
this.
Buttercup.
No, but it's just one of those things. It's like I don't see the angles that my administration sees. Yeah. They're trying to like manage
they
multiple
see a bigger
groups
picture of
that I don't see. I see one little group. So you can't then become like, oh, they don't care if they're doing anything to help me.
No, I get that.
Yeah, you just have to be like, oh, okay, well, I didn't, that makes sense. We'll work it out, But the thing is, still being able to bring it and say, I have concerns about this or this, and here's what we can do. I even said that here's a couple things that we could do to maybe help that. And those things then would have started a domino effect with a lot of other things. So to me, it seemed like a simple fix. It really wasn't.
Yeah.
So you can't be offended when your suggestions don't pan out.
No, I don't. I try not to be offended about anything.
No, I know.
So being offended is a choice, by the way.
I had a question about that too, actually.
Okay.
The choice not to be offended at things. Because I say that a lot. Like I don't get offended by much. And just within the last, I don't know, couple of weeks, I got to feeling like, do other people perceive that as, well, then you just don't give a shit about anything?
If they can have that opinion. Doesn't mean that's right. You can give a shit about something and not be offended by it.
Right. But when you say, oh, I'm not offended by XYZ, do people think, well, she just doesn't care about those things then?
Probably do, but that doesn't make them right. People can have an opinion about anything and be absolutely 100% wrong. That's on them.
Sure. Just something that went through my mind.
I don't see, and this is where
I'm like, am I being insensitive to people by saying I don't get offended? Like things don't offend. I don't give a fuck. Are there things you should be offended by?
I don't give a fuck if somebody's offended by anything that I say or do. Yeah. That's a choice. I'm sticking to and this is where I said earlier, I'm hard headed and I stick to my guns. But goddamn it, I'm gonna stick to my guns. I believe things a certain way, and I don't mind talking about it. And if somebody gets offended by the idea that people should have individual rights, freedoms, and responsibilities, then fuck you. I don't care. I really don't care.
As long as you're still treating people who don't have.
I don't treat, if somebody says, well, I believe in the state power and whatnot, I'm like, all right, well, have at it, Hoss. I'm going to block you. I'm going to do my best to block you, but.
We had this conversation the other night, and the news was on, and they were talking about the Inflation Recovery Act or whatever it is they call it.
which is bullshit. It's not
And
going to do anything for it, but go ahead. Sorry.
how one of the pieces of that was capping the cost of medications like insulin.
Mhm.
And Republicans apparently stepped in and negotiated it down to where they're only capping it for people who receive like Medicare and Medicaid.
Mhm.
But if you're on private insurance, there's no cap on what they can charge you for, like insulin. Insulin was the drug they were using as, and I don't know if it's specifically insulin. I think it probably is.
Probably because this one's gotten way expensive.
And so I just made the comment like, you should not make a drug that people need in order to survive so expensive that they can't afford it unless they're on Medicaid or Medicare.
Okay.
Like, as a person who makes a decent wage with private insurance, I don't want to, if I needed insulin, I wouldn't want, for me, it's going to cost, I don't know, however much, $300 a month. But for mom who's on Medicare, it would cost $36 a month.
Yeah.
Like, that's a life-saving medication.
Mm-hmm.
And you came back with me with, if they cap it, then the supply is going to run low. Like, people are going to rush out and buy a shit ton of insulin.
It's not that, and that's the thing. It's not that people are going to run out and buy a bunch of insulin.
Because you can't. You have to have a prescription for it.
But the supply would, I mean, anytime they put caps on prices, there's always, it creates a shortage because it makes it hard when they're going to produce it. If they will produce less of it to maintain that profit margin.
Well, then that sounds like a drug deal, a drug company protecting their profit margin.
There's only one company that's effectively making insulin right now. The problem isn't that they're charging too much. The problem is that they're blocking competition. You want cheaper drugs.
Well, that I agree with.
All of the barriers to prevent competition. There's all kinds of government barriers to competitions, particularly in the medical industry. You want to lower the cost of medicine and healthcare, then get the government out of it. Get the government out of it, and you will spring up with so much competition that prices will have to go down.
That I do agree with. Now, I know that companies that develop new medications keep the, I don't want to say patent, but the rights to that medication for 7 years.
Patent's right.
And I know that part of the reason for that is they're trying to recoup what they're claiming were losses during research and development so that they can make money on the drugs. I mean, no one's going to do anything for no
profit.
You can't.
I agree.
You cannot run a business with no profit. It's impossible.
I agree.
But I think that when you're talking about medications people need in order to live, Dad's cancer medication costing $3,600 a month to me seems insane, because who could pay that?
Right.
Who could pay that?
Absolutely.
And thank God they're out there developing that medication, because it saved his life.
Yeah.
And thank God that particular drug company had a program where they subsidized Dad's, like, his insurance paid.
Yeah,
it wasn't $3,000. It was like $13,000. And the insurance pays $10,000 of it. And then the drug company just picked up or forgave the rest of it, his portion of it. But $13,000 a month.
Yeah.
Nobody could afford to use that medication at that cost.
I agree. And they're probably still taking it at a loss, because it's took much money to develop and then so much money to get approved. If you want lower prices, though, the only way to do lower prices is to get the barriers of competition out of the way. And if you're trying to put a drug out to go through FDA, whose vested interest is for them to say no. They're better off saying no to life-saving drugs, because they don't pay any consequence for that. If they say no to a life-saving drug, then there's no skin off their nose. But if they sit there and wait and they're testing and doing all this other bullshit that the tests have already been done by the company's not going to try and throw something out there that's dangerous, because they're going to get sued. So one of the problems that people had with the vaccines that came out for COVID wasn't so much that they came out with them so quick. Some people had problems with that, but the fact that they prevented they put the laws in place that said you couldn't sue Pfizer if something went wrong with the vaccine. No, dude, you don't do that. If something's wrong with the vaccine and you the only penalty that Pfizer faces is lawsuit, you can't take that away. That's what was wrong with the whole vaccine
So
thing.
you don't, I mean, do you see a place for government to, um, what's the word? Like, should these new drugs have to go through some sort of process where they're proven to be safe for people to take?
They do that even before the
But should
FDA
that,
sees it. They go through those processes long before the FDA sees it because they want to make
I know,
sure
but do
they,
you want to just trust the drug company, or do you want an outside source looking at that drug going, okay, we've seen all of this, and not just take Pfizer's word for it that it's safe?
again, what helps them is what prevents the drug companies from putting out something that's dangerous is two things: lawsuits and competition.
Yeah, but they've put out drugs that have turned out to be dangerous before.
And they were FDA approved. So the FDA is useless. Am I wrong? So you've all seen the ads.
I just don't think
You know,
you
if
should.
you have suffered from taking this
Oh my God,
medication that the
Camp
FDA has approved, then you can still sue. Well, that's what's keeping the drug companies honest, your ability to sue them. The FDA is just something that costs them an extra about a
See,
month.
I don't think that like a police department should be investigating their own. I think
Absolutely.
an outside agency should be like investigating what happens with police officers and that kind of thing,
Mhm.
because you don't want them covering this shit up. I believe the same should happen with drug companies. It shouldn't be the drug company who's doing the testing, because they will cover shit up.
You know who would be good for that? The insurance companies. Because the insurance
Then
companies,
your rates are going to go insane.
well, here's the thing: if the insurance companies are approving or are in the process, and you need these drugs, the insurance company is going to make sure that it's safe. They
And
have
I
a
don't want to
vested
put that on the
interest in it
insurance
as well.
company either. They have a vested interest in turning everything down. They're the reasons why things are so expensive anyway.
Mm.
All right.
Well,
Anyway,
competition and the ability to sue does more to protect you and keep drug prices or any prices down. That's 100%. That's always been the case. Government never makes anything cheaper, ever.
we don't always agree, people. And when this conversation came up,
You were getting pissed
I get so mad at you because
because it makes it seem like I'm all for people paying out the ass for insulin, but that's not
yeah.
the case at all.
And then every point I try to make, you just shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. There's no like, I can see where you're coming from, or if they could do this or that.
Well, I'm an asshole.
You're just like, no, government needs to be out. Government needs to be out. Government needs to be out. And it's just not realistic. We're like a large nation full of many different people.
Yeah.
And you have this.
The best way to govern a
idealistic
great many of people is no government.
See, I don't know. I feel like you just have this utopian idealistic view of people and corporations, and they're not always going to do well.
No. Don't get me wrong. I'm not supporting corporations. Not even slightly. If corporations thrived under a free market, the libertarians would have so much money in their coffers, you wouldn't know it. But no, people talk about Wall Street. Oh, we hate Wall Street, so we gotta make sure that Hillary Clinton gets elected. Guess who the number one person that get donations from Wall Street in history was? Hillary Clinton. You know what record she broke? Barack Obama's record for donations from Wall Street. You think they're voting against their own interest or paying into against their own interest? No, they're not.
Okay.
You think they're shelling out cash for the libertarians that want a free market? No, because they want those special favors from the government.
I lit his fuse.
Sorry, folks.
Sometimes I light his fuse and then I have to like try to find ways to back away, because once he gets going, and he's very well read on these. This is not stuff he's just pulling out of his ass.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, Kevin generally knows from when he speaks. It is pouring.
Yeah, it's raining his ass
Down
off
rain.
right now.
Okay.
Lightning out and everything.
Here's my next question.
All right.
Is it too soon for fall?
No.
I'm seeing all these ads for like back to school and football and da da da. It's August 10th. We're still in the height of summer. Is it too soon for pumpkin spice lattes?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. They shouldn't be throwing pumpkins out at all right now. And that, it's the sign of fall. I mean, when they start throwing pumpkin shit on everything, pumpkin spice fucking, cucumbers, whatever. Then, then it's fall. Okay, it's fall. That's pumpkin spice, baby diapers or whatever. You kids can smell like shit in baby diapers and pumpkin spice, I guess.
What are you even talking? You're just rambling right now.
Ranting on.
You're just rambling.
But yeah, it's still too much. It's still too early. But I guess back to school because
a lot of
the
districts
country
are back already.
Yeah, most of the country is already back. So I guess it's weird for us because the Virginia starts so late.
I saw, speaking of back to school, I saw a video on TikTok yesterday. There's a little boy. He was probably maybe kindergarten, would you say? You know what video I'm talking about? Little kid with the backpack, and the mom was like,
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the little boy has his like Spider-Man backpack. And the mom is like, okay, if your teacher tells you that you have to go hide in the corner and be quiet, show me what you're going to do. And he's like, I'm going to go over and I'm going to hide in the corner. And he like sits down and she goes, what are you going to do with your bulletproof backpack? And he's like, I'm going to put my bulletproof backpack up like this. And she's like, good. Now, what if somebody comes to the door and they knock on the door and say that they're the police and are you in there? What are you going to say? And he said, I'm going to say I'm right here. She goes, no, you're not. You're not going to say a word. Don't say anything. And so he's like, oh, okay, I won't say anything. And she goes, if you can get out, where are you going to run? And he said, I'm going to run home. She goes, you just keep running as far away as you can and mommy will find you. And I was like, I had like a emotional reaction to this video because this kid's like 5 years old and the mom's buying him a bulletproof backpack and saying just keep running and I'll find you. And I'm like, well, first of all, that might not happen. You don't just tell the kid to run wherever.
Yeah.
You kind of say listen to your teacher and like, and I thought, oh my God, I wonder what other people are saying about this. And every comment to the video was in support of the mom drilling her kid like that. Because these are the times we live in now in public school. And I'm not 100% sure. It feels wrong to me. Like I know why the mom was doing that.
Well, she's trying to make a point, I think.
But she's putting her kid, who honestly is too young to have to think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know that when you say they have to think about it because these things are happening, they are happening, but they're not happening frequently. It feels like it's frequent because even one is too many. And however many hundreds there have been, it's too many. Statistically, the chances are very low.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's almost traumatizing
the type of thing that
the
happened
kid.
At Parkland and Uvalde and all of that.
And I know if something
extremely rare.
Did happen and you didn't say those things, you'd never forgive yourself. So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I hope this is the case. Your child's school and their teachers are going to have these conversations with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
As a kindergarten teacher, I don't have them in that alarming tone.
Yeah.
I think it was the alarming tone that really was like.
And I think they were trying to make a point and was doing that for emotional effect. But
I know.
I mean, statistically.
It's just traumatizing to the child.
Yeah, she didn't give a
chances are he's never going to face that.
That's true. You're absolutely.
And yes, you want him to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully the schools will do everything they can to keep your kids safe and prepare them. Trust me. But I don't say, okay, if there's a shooter in the building, where are we all going to hide? And I don't want to put fear into them.
No, you
We
don't.
we treat it like a fire drill. Now,
I think,
as far as the kids know, the adults in the building have much more in-depth conversations about what we're going to do. And the older the kids get, the more
right. Then you can
you can talk to them about it. But 5 years old.
I think there's an actual push, and I could be dead wrong about this, but I think there's a push by some sector of society that believes that kids need to not be kids anymore. Like they believe that kids need to be trained to be adults as quickly as possible. They need to be exposed to harsh realities at a very, very young age.
What a complete swing.
I know.
From where we were 15 years ago, when they didn't want to let any negative things touch the children at all.
Yeah.
Like we went from extreme over, like we're never going to let them feel disappointment. We're never going to let them feel fear. They're going to be so sheltered from the harsh reality of the world to now we're just going to throw you into school with a bulletproof backpack at 5 years old and make sure you know you have to run from the guy with a gun. Like,
yeah.
Is there middle ground in there somewhere where we could maybe not traumatize the kids?
Oh my God, it is super duper coming down right now.
I don't know.
I think there is a middle ground. I think the first thing you do before you start, frightening your children like that is you secure the building.
Well,
you can do that without freaking the kids out.
I mean, that obviously in the instance of something like that happening, and I can only speak for my building, but like everybody has a role. We all know what the role is.
Right.
So,
and you can do that by training the teachers, but not necessarily drilling it into the kids' heads. Oh, well, you might get shot today, so let's make sure you know. Right.
Do you do that before you go into the mall? Do you do that before you go to a parade? Do you do that before you go to the beach? Like, probably not.
No.
I don't know.
But this goes back to what I've said before on this show. The first responsibility
have so
you
many
have as a person
issues.
is to protect yourself. And, maybe teaching kids that, protecting themselves. But even at 5 years old,
I just felt like if she had been talking to like a 10-year-old, I would have had a completely different feeling.
Yeah.
But I think because the kid was so young, I was just like, ooh, like I remember when I first started teaching, my first, couple of years of teaching, September 11th happening. And at the time we had the TVs that were on the big rolling carts,
the old school. Yeah.
We didn't have the like flat screen stuff we got now. And I had it turned on, but turned away and muted so that the kids couldn't see it, because you didn't want them at that young age to like witness something like that, because who only knew what was going to be flashing up on the TV at any moment.
And there was some horrible stuff that came up on the TVs.
So
people dropping out of buildings
try to
and whatnot.
Protect them from the, it feels so and it is horrible. You see, trust me, I mean, Sandy Hook triggered an anxiety issue in me that I still deal with to this day. Mm-hmm. And you see things like Uvalde and all of, Parkland and all these other things. And it's, heart wrenching. You can barely stand to watch. And it's completely horrible. And you should look at every action that the administration took, the teachers took, the police took. Like, those things really need to be studied. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying they're not, but it feels more prevalent because the news is saturated with it.
Yeah. And that's by design.
And so, I don't know that.
But I do feel like there's a concerted effort to get kids to not be kids anymore.
Yeah,
and that's sad to me.
It really is sad.
Yeah.
Parents who like talk about things with kids around, just assuming the kids don't pick up on it or hear it, and like we've lost the ability to maintain
an innocence
in them.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, for the first time ever at Christmas time at school, I had students voicing that Santa wasn't real. They didn't believe, like they just can't be little anymore. Why are we trying to take all that magic away?
I don't know. I don't get the logic behind it.
Because they don't want their kids hurt. But I have news for you. Your kids are going to get hurt. Certainly you don't want them gunned down at school. Nobody wants that to happen. There's only so much you can do to stop it. I don't know. That felt weird. But here's another thing I saw on TikTok. I spent a lot of time this week on TikTok.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dog videos come up in my For You.
Because that's what people really need. We need
I
more
just
dogs.
want the dog. There was this one dog that was like, it was a Chihuahua puppy. They were trying to potty train it.
Mhm.
And the mom would put the puppy pad down and the dog would run and grab it and then just start booking. And she couldn't, and he would like run like through all the rooms in a big circle with this puppy pad flapping. And he was like this little tiny dog.
Oh.
And so she got this like puppy pad holder, and she was trying to put the puppy pad, and he was trying to get it. She's like pushing him away, and she finally snaps it in, and he gets on it. And she's like, I got you now. It took 10 seconds for that dog to figure out how to rip that thing out of there. And then he took off running with it. It was so funny. Pablo, the Chihuahua. But I saw this video. It was a gender reveal video where like they're at the gender reveal party. This is the big thing. And they go around to all the guests, and the guests say, I'm Kelly and I think it's going to be a girl. And then they go to the night, no, I'm Kevin and I think it's going to be a boy. It like went on for, it felt like minutes. And at the beginning, the first thing I was like, everyone in this family's name is AATT. I'm your Mimi, like every single one. And they were all guessing. And then it got to the parents, and the mom said, I hope you're a boy, but it's okay if you're a girl, but I'm really hoping you're a boy. And I was like, ooh, yeah, okay, that just kind of weird. And so apparently she got roasted in the comments for it, because she came out with a second video, which I'm like, all right, here's mistake number 2, is you trying to defend it by saying,
she had already had like 3 girls.
Yeah, so. I was just saying that I wanted a boy because we already have, like, don't even give these people who are roasting you in your comments the time of day. They don't know you. Like, it sounded a little insensitive to me for the parent to be like,
as a general rule, if the public is after you and they, you feel like you're forced to apologize, the absolute worst thing you can do is apologize.
Just don't.
You look at, if you're like the woke mob's coming after you, and then you apologize, you're not winning. You've not only have you lost, they're just going to come at you harder.
Well, I thought, God, it was kind of it felt weird that she said that. I picked up on it. Like, most of the time you hear like the parents go, oh, we don't care, boy or girl, we just want a healthy baby, right? No, both of these parents were like, I want a boy, but it's okay if you're a girl. And I was like, this kid's never going to see that, for one thing. But secondly, I was just like, oh, that just seemed, and I got it. Just 3 girls. She wants a boy. I get it. I never would comment on her video and go, and what kind of woman are you? Blah, 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 blah. Apparently a lot of people did. So much so that she felt like she had to address it. Like, don't address it. These people don't know you.
Yeah.
Why are you giving any like credence to what they're saying to you?
And by the time the kids know anything about anything, the TikTok's going to be gone. It's not going to, the actual video isn't just sitting out there.
It turned out to be a boy, thank goodness. So
yeah,
that kid will not grow up feeling like he's never going to live up.
What's going to happen to all these kids where their mom's got an OnlyFans?
What was it that I saw? Some comedian said, oh no, this guy said he's something is wrong with his car, so he's Ubering back and forth to school every day. And the Uber driver was like, what's at this address? And he goes, oh, it's the school I teach at, whatever. Oh, what grade do you teach? And he told her, and she said, oh, my sister teaches high school. And he's like, oh, that's like a rough gig. And she goes, yeah, but the bigger problem is that some of the kids know her from her previous job, where she was like on a pole or something like that.
Ooh.
And I was like, whew. First of all, how do like high school kids know that?
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to be careful, when you're working with children. You don't want
Shit
to
will
put
come
that
out.
other kind of stuff out there. It will. Parents, I know they do this. They go to Facebook and they type your name in and they see if your account comes up. And if you don't have everything locked down, you know,
They're in your
I would
shit.
never, I have some Facebook friends that are former parents
Mhm.
that, their children are older and they will never be a student of mine again. But like a current parent, well,
No.
I'm sorry, that's not exactly true because last year I was friends with her and then I happened to get her son in my class. So, but
Yeah.
you have to be careful what you put out there.
Yeah. But you got people requesting you, so
All teachers have people requesting them.
okay.
They do. I'm telling
Mhm.
you, they know people. Anyway, I think that was the only things that I had.
The street's starting to fill up with water.
Yeah, we're gonna get flooded out.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like it's gonna stop anytime soon.
My hope was for at least one day this weekend get in the pool, but
Not
it
gonna
won't be
happen today.
Not today.
And then it's supposed to be not so hot
Yeah,
for the rest of the weekend, which is good. Maybe we can just sit outside in the sun and enjoy the outdoors.
there you go.
All right, so we got this new game, right?
It's called.
It's called Who's Most Likely To.
So we're gonna draw one card because we haven't literally we haven't seen any of it.
This just says we make games.
Hmm.
We make games. Okay, I get it. I get the premise here.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna read this
Okay.
and we're gonna decide which of us is most likely to be in this situation.
Sure.
Okay. It says wakes up with half a burrito in bed.
That's probably gonna be me.
I would say neither one of us eat dinner in bed.
No, we don't
So
generally eat in bed,
that's
but-
not likely to ever happen. But if we were eating in bed for some reason, you would be the one more likely to fall asleep mid-meal
Yeah.
than me.
Yeah.
Kevin falls asleep like that.
It's a Rose Boy thing. We all just fall asleep. Billy and Tommy will back me up on that.
Yeah, he'll be like looking at his iPad or whatever. And I can always tell because he'll have his iPad like this and it'll start going. And I'm like, yeah, he's about to lose it, right? And then I was like, oh, I'm going to go to sleep. I mean, it's not even a full minute before the snoring starts. I don't know how you do it. I'm laying there awake for like an hour before I can get to sleep.
It's breathing through my nose.
Is that what it is?
All right. Has a 3-hour conversation about space. Yeah, that one's me.
That one's definitely more likely to be you.
Yeah.
I would tap out hour one. Probably going to happen. We are having dinner with Richard and Kate this weekend.
That's true.
You've been known to have lengthy conversations.
We had full conversations about the politics of Star Wars because they have their own political systems and whatnot, and like how it actually works. And it's interesting stuff.
Spends all day interpreting a text.
That's you.
That is so totally me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way
What
more
the
than
fuck do they
you.
mean by this? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Listen to
Maybe
this.
have a nice day. I don't know. Maybe they really legitimately want you to have a nice day.
What do they mean by that?
What do they mean by that?
Oh, it's happened to me.
Has a dark side. We both have a dark side.
I think I have more of a dark side than you do.
Really? Let us know in the comments. Who do you think out of the both of us has a bigger dark side? Everybody's gonna be like, Fat Boy does.
That's not true. Kevin down deep is a nicer person than I am.
I don't believe that. No one believes that. Everybody's like, that's such horse shit.
You have listened to me, my true self,
Mhm.
when I am in the mood to rant and some of the things I say, way darker than stuff you say.
Oh, you know what? We're forgetting about Tilly. Tilly's got a dark side.
Tilly does have a dark side. That's true. Might be Tilly.
Because we went out the other. She went out the other day and was hunting. There was like all the geckos out on the deck.
She came in with a
She
tail
killed
of a
that
lizard
gecko.
one time and threw it in my lap, all proud of herself.
There it is.
That thing
Mama.
was still like wiggling.
Is allergic to everything. That'd be your sister.
Yeah, that's not either one.
Neither
of
one of
us.
us. We're not allergic to anything.
We don't have allergies.
Bullshit is what I'm allergic to. Bullshit.
Touches everyone excessively for no reason.
Oh, that's definitely me.
That is definitely you.
And we actually, one of the things that came up with her
Not that you
class,
touch people excessively.
yeah, I don't touch people. But one of the things that came up when she was doing this class for the dyslexia teaching was a tactile learning. Like there were some exercises that you were doing. And I was like, I do that when I'm out and about somewhere. I'm constantly touching shit, particularly if there's like anywhere where there's like
Food.
rugs or food. Like Costco. I love going to Costco because they got the sample people out. And I don't care what it is, I'll try it. And I'll, tell them I was like, oh, this is great, or this was a mistake. I shouldn't have ate this. This sucks. I'm honest about it. But like if I'm walking around and there's like carpet, I'm putting my fingers through it. I'm such a tactile. I love the feel of texture. So yeah, there's
Here's another thing Kevin does that Mom and I cannot figure out why the hell you do it.
Mhm.
And every time you do it, we both look at each other and just roll our eyes when you smack your chest for no reason.
It's just something I've done forever.
He'll just be walking along and all of a sudden it'll be like, bam, just smack himself in the chest for no reason. Usually it scares somebody shitless because they're not expecting it. I've watched you walk across a parking lot to a grocery store and do it all by yourself with no one else even around, and you just do it.
I don't know why.
Completely unaware that you do it.
It's just a tick, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, mate, I think it is too.
All right, let's see. Gets convinced celebrities or strangers are celebrities. So I
Gets
guess
convinced strangers are celebrities.
So I guess like you see somebody and you're like, well, that's probably so and so because they look like so and so. I guess we both kind of do that.
I mean, I can't remember ever looking at someone and going, is that a celebrity? It's like, we don't live where we see celebrities.
Yeah.
I would notice a person before you would.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Yeah. So I guess that would be me because you would just be smacking your chest off somewhere.
Scared the shit out of that dude.
We were in a restaurant having dinner one time, and the table behind us was talking about someone who actively had been shot and was in the back seat of the car and how they needed to get that person to the hospital.
That's true.
And the guy was bitching that all he wanted to do was finish his fish, and he is completely oblivious to that conversation going down. I'm like,
but when you finally, when you said that, and then I started paying attention, I was like, oh shit, we're in fucking danger. I got to get my wife out of here.
I was like, we need to go. And I didn't want to make a big scene because, who knew what the deal was there. Is actively preparing for the end of the world.
Ooh, neither one of us is doing that. I mean, we don't even have funeral plans for the.
I don't even actively prepare for much.
Yeah.
I might inadvertently plan for something.
I mean, today we're ahead of the curve. We planned for dinner early on in the day. We're having some manwich and some crinkle fries.
That does happen on a daily basis. What are we going to have for dinner tonight?
What's for dinner? If we figure it out before 9 o'clock, that's a miracle. What's for dinner?
That's us actively preparing for the end of the world.
Yeah. Sings but shouldn't. That's me.
Both of us.
Yeah. Well,
both of us. You have a better singing voice than I do.
From drinking. I gave up drinking.
All right. Would survive in the woods with just a hatchet.
That's probably me. Yeah. I'd figure it out.
You grew up out in the woods, so.
This is long before you were around, but back in the house in Suffolk, I was throwing a party. Me and my roommate were throwing a party, and a bunch of people there, Richard, Little Tom, all the guys. And we just happened to have a lot of just hatchets and a big pile of wood.
You just happened to have a pile of hatchets?
We had a pile of wood and we had a couple hatchets. So we just started doing drunken hatchet throwing. That's what we called it. And it was a blast. This was long before this became a thing at bars and shit. It's like we could have made millions doing that shit back in the day. But no, we were all drinking.
Anybody lose a finger or a toe?
I think Mysterio came close to losing a toe. And Little Tom went after an axe when somebody was throwing, and he realized that was a mistake. But I mean, we no one got hurt. So
we've done 11.
Well,
do one each more. Let's make it. I was gonna say let's make it an even 13.
All right, who did that last one? Me? You do this. Yeah. Baker's dozen. That's what they call it.
Goes missing within 15 minutes of going out.
Ooh, yeah. Because I wander. Because I will just.
Technically, my brother wanders more than any person I know.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I used to actually go into the grocery stores, I haven't been into a grocery store since before the pandemic, which sounds so crazy. You go in the grocery store with my brother, and within 5 minutes, you can't find him. He's off wandering somewhere.
And your mom too, because I'll sit there like if I got to go to the bathroom, and I was like, I'll just find her because she's in the cart. So I mean, she's in one of the little
you need to put an air
carts.
tag on her.
And I'd be like hunting her down, and I'd have to hunt her down. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how far could she fucking get in this cart? Apparently, pretty damn far. Has questionable hygiene. No, that's 100% me.
I mean,
I've openly talked on this show about shitting on myself. So, which I wanted to tell you too. I was out with your mom the other day, and we were in the line at Hickman. I didn't shit all over the place, but I did have to. So I got out and I said, Mom, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to leave you here in the drive-through line. I'm going to go in. And I was like, okay. And I made it. I had time to spare, but I knew I wasn't going to make it home. So I was like, all right. And I go in there and I'm looking at the walls, and it had brown sparkles all over it, like sparkles. And I was like, oh shit, somebody's already shit all over the walls. And I'm looking at it like, no, that's just tile. It was the design of the tile. I thought, oh my God. I thought I walked in. I was like,
they probably got a call from Dunkin' Donuts. Like, here's what you need to do: decorate your bathroom so that if someone shits all over the walls, you can't really tell.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. But I made it. I didn't shit on myself.
Thank God.
Yeah.
It's the gastric bypass that you eat and then you have to go within a really short period.
When I had my gastric bypass, it was like almost 30 years ago, and it was like a fairly new thing, and they didn't know anything like they do now. Like nowadays, you have to have it's like a year-long process beforehand.
Yeah.
Make you go to the head shrink.
Do they even do gastric bypass anymore? Like I feel like they do.
Well, they do the sleeve and all that
now.
first if they can, but they still do the gastric bypass, but they just do it laparoscopically. I got a big ass scar.
No, Kevin, pull your shirt down. What the hell?
I was just showing him my scar.
Oh my God.
Anyway, but at the time it was like, we're gonna do this and try not to eat too much. Best of luck, fat boy. And there was a lot of shit that I had to learn on my own, like the fact that you shouldn't drink after you've had gastric bypass because you could have a seizure. And I learned that because I had a fucking seizure. So I'll tell that story some other day.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then from the good folks at Good News Network, we've got enormous underground city uncovered in Turkey. So there's that. San Francisco will consider ending.
Wait a second. Is it an active city or like an ancient city?
Probably an ancient city.
Okay.
I'd imagine. It's underground, so.
Okay.
Let's see. Couple's love still blooms 40 years on as they recreate the first photo posing alongside a 12-foot sunflower.
Someone wrote an article about that.
Yeah. San Francisco will consider ending all prosecutions of psychological drug use, psychedelic drug use. I'm for that, Now, in San Francisco, they also let people shit in the streets. So
here's what I heard. This is what I heard this week, that they're trying to pass an ordinance or legislation or something that says that you can't have homeless encampments by elementary schools or daycare centers. And so that was being protested. Some people went and protested at the city council meeting, whatever, about it.
In LA, yeah.
But while I was listening to that story, they were talking about there's this measure they're trying to pass where hotels in LA by 2:00 every day have to report how many rooms they have unreserved. And those rooms would then be used to house homeless people. And they're talking about like all hotels having to do this. And I can't even believe that. I mean,
well, like
wouldn't
the Beverly
it just
Hills
be
Hotel,
better just to build a hotel that was
just for
specifically to house homeless people?
Yeah. Well, they have the shelters, but they
paid,
don't have enough.
Then build more.
Mm-hmm.
Buy a hotel and then change it over.
Do you honestly believe that the expensive hotels, like the Beverly Hills Hotel, that they are going to have an empty room and then have some homeless person living in it? Fuck no. They will pay somebody to stay in the room $400. It's a $600 a night room here. We'll pay you $400 a night to stay here, and so that we don't have to have this homeless person.
I mean, the idea behind it is humanitarian.
Yeah.
Like keeping these people off the streets and all of that. But like in reality,
no,
if you pay $600 or $700 a night for a hotel room and you go and you stay at one of these real expensive hotels and then they open up all the extra rooms for homeless people.
And it's not fair to the Fleabag Hotel, who's, they've got you're running a cheap hotel. You've got a lot of overhead and things. There's things that you have to deal with on the regular anyway. And now you've also got to put up homeless people.
Or you wouldn't be able to reserve any of your rooms past 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
How many people are traveling and they drive until like 9:00 and then try and find a hotel somewhere?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, that's another reason not to go to LA.
It's taking income straight away from all of
Absolutely.
those. Yeah, I just couldn't even buy a few hotels.
And I mean, that's an example of government overreach causing a problem, even with the best of intentions.
Well, then maybe some generous entrepreneur should go in and buy one of those hotels that's underperforming and completely change it over to be hotel rooms for homeless people.
Yeah.
And you can stay, 1, 2, or 3 nights, and then your room's reassigned to somebody.
No drug use,
no drug use,
if you're trying to if you can do that, then you go maybe even come up with a step-up plan so that you can have somewhere where you have an address with a mailbox.
I would completely support. I'd even support the city paying for that.
First effective treatment for back pain changes how brain and back communicate. I'd be a little leery of that.
Do you really want to rewire how your brain talks to the rest of your body?
Yeah. Let's see. Hero dog lover keeps seniors and their pets together with peace of mind. Yeah. Well, that's just a waiting game. One of them's going down.
Oh my God.
Sorry. Smartphones.
We've really got an act for shitting on the good news.
Smartphones can boost memory skills by freeing up your brain to remember other things.
That's bullshit.
That is bullshit. Because I used to remember people's phone numbers, and now I don't remember her phone number.
No, that's just horseshit.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't believe it at all. But there it is.
There it is. All right, folks.
So this week, the only thing we got coming up is I'm helping you with your room. That's it. Nothing else going on. I guess more school coming up, more prep for school. And then God knows there's shit happening in the world. I mean, president's house just got raided. So
yeah, who knows when we'll actually find out what's really going on. Here's the mistake in that whole situation. I don't know.
There's tons of mistakes in that situation.
I don't know what they're really looking for. If they're really looking for serious shit, I hope they find it and all of that. The mistake made was when they would not allow the lawyers to observe them searching and removing things from the home, because all that is going to do is open up the doors for them to say anything could have been planted in there when no one was there to watch.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what is going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's going to discredit anything that comes out from this point forward about anything found there will be discredited because they were not allowed to observe.
And you 100%. Might say, well, the FBI is above that kind of thing. The FBI has already been shown to falsify documents to get FISA warrants.
They want Trump so bad.
No, that's a legit argument. Oh, that shit was planted.
Yeah.
And that's a legitimate thing. It could have been planted because these people.
But they should have. I was always under the impression that even if the cops come in, like, you have the right to be there to supervise or someone on your behalf.
I watched this on TikTok because I follow a couple of lawyers on TikTok, and they will say, yes, you can be in there, but it's not advisable for you to be in there. Your attorney can 100% be in there.
Right.
To watch.
They flat out said no, which to me, I'm just like,
So that, I mean, if
all
I'm the
you're
lawyer,
doing
if
is
I'm
just
one of-
discrediting anything that you're going to do
yeah,
going
absolutely.
forward. So that was from the little bit that I know, maybe there was a reason why they did that, and maybe it'll all become clear. But like for me right now, I'm just like, well, that was really stupid. They should not have ever done that. They should have said, hey, come on in and watch everything we're doing.
Get that shit on camera.
Videotape it if you want to, put it on camera. What we're going through,
Yeah.
what we're taking, because that's the only way you're going to actually
They should
get
be,
it.
if you're doing a search like that, any type of search, there should be cameras in there anyway. I mean, one for the preservation of evidence, but two, prosecutorial misconduct. It's a
Well, yeah,
thing. It is a
chain
thing.
of evidence.
Chain
like,
of evidence.
yeah, I mean, you
All of
just
it. There is, you know, there is prosecutorial misconduct.
if you really want to prosecute him and send him to jail, the worst thing you could have done was told his lawyers they couldn't be there while they were moving stuff from his house. This is the worst thing they could have done.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
People forget about that Fourth Amendment, but the Fourth Amendment is just as important as the first three. Absolutely, 100%.
All right, so on that note, we're gonna wrap this up.
Bye, everybody.
Already?
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna pull a Walt Flanagan when he kept trying to say Tom Steve Dave. They were like, no.
Wait.
I guess I really didn't have anything else important to say.
Oh.
Y'all have a great week.
Bye, everybody. For reals.
With a Z.
With a Z.